All right, let's get started. So welcome to today's webinar. We're going to be looking at the accounting integration that we provide between your CreditorWatch account and also your Xero or MYOB cloud accounting package that you may be using. So that's Essentials or Account Right Live with MYOB. Of course, there's just the one package with Xero, so you can connect quite easily with either of those two. So having a look at our key products, as I always do, really quickly, just having a look at our product suite, a wide variety of tools to assist with your credit management, from onboarding customers using an online credit application. Automated, of course, is much more powerful than doing a PDF or a paper-based credit application form assessment. So we've got a wide suite of tools around credit reporting, scoring, payment ratings, risk ratings, and of course the all-powerful monitoring and alerts. So while your customers may look good today when you onboard them, or you've been dealing with them for years and years and years, things do go wrong. And of course, in the middle of a pandemic, potentially a double dip recession, we know plenty of businesses doing it tough out there. Very easy to set up monitoring and alerts on your customers, and we will send you through an email alert if an important change takes place to one of those customers. That could be very basic things like address or a director change. However, it could also be adverse information, such as a payment default, court action, or an administration or wind-up appointment taking place. The other things that you see there towards the right are, of course, more analysis tools, and one of those is, sorry, just making sure that everyone could hear me there. One of those is portfolio health check, data logic, and of course, financial risk assessments. There's more information online, so please don't be shy, jump onto CreditorWatch and have a look at that. Key highlights, huge amount of customers providing a big chunk of data. We're also plugging into the likes of ASIC, Australian Business Register, and we will very soon have ATO tax default information that the tax office will be registering with CreditorWatch, which will be, of course, another powerful new bit of indicative or predictive data that we will be able to input into our reports, but also provide on an alert basis as well. So what are we looking at today? Ultimately, we are having a look at the integration of Xero and MYOB products. We are, of course, looking at other ones. I have been talking about other integrations for quite some time. We just find that the volume of CreditorWatch customers using another platform like Reckon One or Intuit QuickBooks is very low. However, it's certainly still very much on our development roadmap to start looking at integrating with those other products as well. Really quickly, looking at key features and benefits, and of course, a live demonstration. It won't be too long in terms of the webinar itself. I do encourage you to ask questions, and I'll look at those towards the end. Of course, we're recording today's webinar, and we also provide the slides too. So if you have to duck off or you want to pass it on to a colleague or a friend or anything like that, you'll have that opportunity within sort of 24 hours. So the first thing I wanted to ask is a poll starts to give me a better understanding of who is listening today, who is signed in. So have you integrated your accounting package with CreditorWatch? Yes, no, or I don't have Xero or MYOB. It gives us a really good understanding of who I'm dealing with today. And generally, we find that there is a good balance between yeses and nos. So look, I'll be talking about, of course, the features and benefits, but I'll also do a live demonstration, which benefits anyone regardless of whether you are currently using it or not. All right, so that's the majority of you voting. So thank you for that. I will just close that. So a good split. There's probably about 30% yes, and the rest over the no's and the I don't have Xero and MYOB. So thank you for that. Let's continue on. So what are the benefits? Why would you do it? So at a very high level, we're all about innovation at CreditorWatch, but also importantly, automation, right? We provide credit management tools. We want to help businesses of all sizes, regardless of whether you're a sole trader or a big four bank. We are trying to provide a single sort of catch-all, which is reduce your credit risk, reduce bad debt, better manage your debtors, better understand who you're dealing with. And the integration with your accounting package, particularly for smaller businesses, keeping in mind that most smaller businesses, medium businesses, won't have a dedicated accounts receivable team or a credit risk team. It may be the MD or just a finance person doing it on a weekly or a monthly basis. It can sometimes be quite reactive rather than proactive. And by doing the integration, by connecting your CreditorWatch account, of course you have to have a CreditorWatch account, with your Xero or MYOB accounting platform, we start to automate some of those processes that larger organizations probably take advantage of, just because they're able to hire more people and invest, obviously, in more expensive technology. But this is ultimately starting to give you some of the tools that they're able to use, even though you are a smaller business. So we want to be able to identify risky debtors. We want to make sure you're not forgetting to run your credit checks, and we want to provide you with those alerts. Importantly as well, there's a few other little tools here. So debtor analysis, so you're able to analyze outstanding debtors and also see within reports what they owe you. So if you receive an email alert, so keeping in mind that if you're a CreditorWatch customer, you don't have to integrate with Xero, or you don't have to integrate with your accounting platform. There's obviously benefits to it, but you don't have to. But if you do, when you receive an email alert, for example, that says XYZ Proprietary Limited has a sizable court action, you click on that link, it takes you to the credit report. You can actually see the invoice amount, or the outstanding amounts of the number of invoices that you're owed in that one place. So rather than having to go, okay, XYZ Proprietary Limited, do they owe me any money at the moment? How am I trading with them? Bang, it's straight there in front of you. Speed is really important when your customers start to get the wobbles or head towards delinquency or failure. You want to be able to act fast. You want to be able to utilize up-to-date information. So that's a great benefit there, and I'll show you what that looks like within a credit report very soon. The other thing we have there is a name match. A lot of small business owners, managers, etc., and larger organizations, to be honest, we see it with some of the biggest businesses in Australia, don't necessarily have the ABN of their customers on file. They either don't collect it or they don't have it on file. And the ABN is really important because it means, one, you know exactly who you're dealing with. You can perform a credit check on them. You can see who the directors are. You can verify that this is a business that actually exists, rather than just providing goods or services to someone who may have called you up on the phone or just applied through a credit application. And of course, if it gets to a collection stage, the first thing a debt collector or a lawyer is going to ask for is, okay, well, who is it that you're dealing with? What is the legal entity? So that ABN is really important. And now name match assists in matching, what information you have on that particular company within your accounting platform. So it could be name and address, and we're able to help you match that to an actual ABN. The next one we have here is automated credit checks. We'll automatically email you a credit report when you add a customer or contact to your, in this case, MYOB. We're just working on the Xero integration of that. There's been a few changes at both ends, but we will have that soon. We had it previously, but with MYOB, for example, you add a contact and your customer to your accounting package. If you don't monitor them or you don't look them up in CreditorWatch, we're going to push a credit report to you via email. So it's a really nice proactive way to sort of get on top of it and go, hey, just before you do the work for them or you send out those goods, check the credit report. Make sure that they are who they say they are. Make sure that there's no adverse information like payment defaults, court actions in place, and just get that little bit of surety that you're dealing with a company that's likely to pay their bills. And the last one here that I'll show you, of course, all of these, is our high-risk customer list. And that's going to flag any existing customers that you're dealing with that may have some form of high risk. right? Court action, payment default, administration, cancelled ABN, that sort of thing. So a number of benefits there that are very, very automated and easy for you to also introduce into your procedures. Now, I'm not going to go through a live version of what it looks like to actually integrate for the first time with your accounting package. I just wanted to show you a couple of slides, or a couple of screenshots rather, to give you a better understanding. So if you go to creditorwatch.com.au/Xero or /MYOB, you'll then be given a page that talks about the benefits and obviously the key features of that integration. You then have the ability to link your accounting package. You'll go through a normal authorization process, which is actually with Xero or with MYOB direct, which explains what information is being provided and gets your essentially your authority, and you log into your Xero or MYOB accounting package on their site. One click, once that's done, you get this message here on the right: Xero linked successfully, and that's starting to have a look at some of the data that's obviously being utilized as part of the integration. So we can see here 24 contacts have been identified. So contacts are customers, of course, within Xero. 3 high risk contacts have been identified out of that 24, but then there's another 20 without an actual ABN. So you would click next. I've got these the wrong way around. You would click next, and that would take you to this image on the left-hand side, a pop-up, a modal, which is saying to you, monitor your contacts, monitor your customers. Obviously, the benefit of monitoring is if something happens to them that's very important, we will send you an email alert. So you have the ability here to monitor either your active contacts. So an active contact is a contact with an outstanding invoice, or you can monitor all of your customers. And I always suggest monitoring all, because there's a good chance that while they're not active at the moment, they might be active tomorrow, next week, next month, etc. So you may as well be monitoring them and getting that up-to-date information. By clicking that, that will then start to add those customers to your watch list, your monitoring list. And of course, look, if you choose monitor one active customer, only the active customers, that's fine. What you can do is you can monitor them one by one thereafter, once you get into your CreditorWatch account. All right, before I jump over, I've got one more poll that I just wanted to run here. Sorry, I've lost my cursor. There we go. Is which accounting package do you currently use? Which is very important. Now, I use, in this case, obviously Xero. As an example, we tend to find that about sort of 60% of our customers that have integrated with one of these providers are from Xero, and about 30% from MYOB, and then the rest from other providers. So that's numbers that I'm looking at here. Can't see them, but yeah, we're looking at sort of 52% Xero, 26% MYOB, and 22% other, which is good to see, interesting to see, and I think we will likely do a bit of work around identifying exactly what those other ones are and starting to sort of prioritize, hopefully, the next steps in terms of which ones we want to integrate. So they're the links I spoke about before: creditorwatch.com.au/Xero or /MYOB. And now what we want to do is, of course, jump in to the platform itself. All right, so everyone should be able to see my CreditorWatch dashboard here. So I've integrated with Xero. You can see last updated 5 seconds ago, which is great. A lot of the information that you see here is, this very similar information to what you would see within your Xero dashboard as well, talking about, receivable summaries. So total receivables, how much is overdue, how much is outstanding, max outstanding and max overdue. So we can see there's already some fairly important or critical things that we need to be considering, which is, the max outstanding and overdue. Some other sales numbers coming in down the bottom, some outstanding numbers, and of course your age trial balance. So where is this sitting in terms of the aging? So how much is in current, 1 to 30, 30, 60, 60, 90, and then 90 plus. And we always talk about anything that's over 30 days is starting to get somewhat high risk. And we obviously introduced our payment rating just at the end of June, and if you haven't seen that, jump on the website to have a look on the blog. But anything that's over 30 days starts to become what we would certainly call towards high risk, 60 over, and that's definitely high risk. The chance of being able to collect that is getting slimmer by the days, and then of course the chance of that company going into administration or ultimately failing certainly increases as that overdue debt continues to age. So good thing about this, if you are in CreditorWatch, you get all this information. You don't have to jump over to Xero, which is great. Of course, Xero is the source of truth, and I would imagine most small businesses are living within their accounting package. But the benefit here is, it is in here when you are dealing with CreditorWatch and credit reporting. So the first one we want to have a look at is high risk. So the high risk section is basically flagging any customer that you're dealing with that has adverse data, negative data that basically says there's a high chance they won't or can't pay their bills. So you either shouldn't be dealing with them, or you need to be collecting anything from them as soon as possible. So we can see we've got 3 here: Walton Construction, Canny Builders, RA Quality Meats. In this case, we can see the first one, there's $30,000 overdue. They're in administration, and there's a published notice, an insolvency notice against it, as well as a document from ASIC relating to administration or winding up. Canny Builders, similar sort of story here, plus there's a payment default. And then a less obviously risky one here is the actual, the one with the sole payment default. So what we can actually do here is we can click on this particular credit report. Of course, we're in CreditorWatch, bang, takes you straight to the credit report. We can see that they are at an F, a score of 0, high default risk is obviously off the charts. They've already gone into administration. There's a default, there's plenty of adverse information, and we can see, as I spoke about before, what am I owed from this particular company. One specific invoice, $30,000, of course, overdue. So we know straight away that this is an extremely high risk business. The chance of getting it, because they're in administration, is almost nil. We need to be getting in contact with the administrator. So this is a great list of companies. If you are already integrated with your accounting package, or you're going to, it's probably the first tab that you should be looking at and addressing it as quickly as possible, trying to collect that information. The next one is really important. This is talking about name match, in this case, missing ABNs. So it's really important to have the ABNs of your customers. Now, particularly if you're using CreditorWatch, we base all of our credit reports, our monitoring, our alerts off the ABN, because that is ultimately the source of truth, could be the ACN as well. So in this case, what we do, we've built a widget, a solution that helps you to match it, because sometimes it can be somewhat difficult, right? Because business names can be very similar. So in this case, this is the data that we have out of Xero, Ridgeway University, not a lot to go off. However, what you might look at and you might go, oh, actually, that's right. I know it's Ridgeway Proprietary Limited. They are based in WA. So I'm going to assign the ABN. Bang, click that. It assigns an ABN to that record. That means that it will be monitored, and we will flag any high risk issues that might be about. The next one here, we've got City Limousines. We've got a postcode. It is in Victoria. And we could go, all right, City Limousines, Melbourne. We know that their actually postcode is not correct here, but this is the neighboring suburb. Bang, click assign ABN to contact. So very easy to do. You can see here, it'll tell you how many are missing. So hopefully you don't have that many. You can skip the company if you can't work it out yourself. And then you can continue to obviously assign on the other one. So that's really powerful, really important to do, because if you don't do it, you obviously can't run a credit report on them, because if you're not sure exactly which company it is. Of course, you can go into CreditorWatch itself, and you could start to search for that particular business. All right, so let's Boom FM as an example. If you started to type it in, it's going to come up with various options for you. Whether there's a Boom FM out there remains to be seen, but this is another way to do it. You can actually search by business name on a case-by-case basis. Okay. The next one we have here is the top 10. So this is just top 10 lists of outstanding amounts, overdue, and then oldest invoices. And again, this is a really great way to start to understand who owes you what. And for those larger organizations that owe you a little bit more, there's no harm in sort of clicking through and having a look at their credit report, for example, and going, all right, everything looks quite good here. Nice credit risk, risk score, similar entities, you know, very, very, very low chance of default in the next 12 months and very consistent credit score. So no adverse information, which is obviously good to see. So again, you can click on all of those. If any are missing an ABN, then of course you can add the ABN in there. Just heading back to the summary page. So I think really important to note there that we are trying to automate certain processes that are often overlooked by, you know, by small business owners, managers, AR people, for example. And we're trying to automate it so it's quick. You don't have to think about it. It's almost set and forget. You know, the monitoring alert, very much set and forget. You continue to do business with that company. If something important changes, we're going to send you an email alert. If you bring on a new customer and you forget to run a credit report, we'll push you a credit report. If you look up a company within CreditorWatch, for example, but haven't added them to your Xero account yet, and you don't monitor them within CreditorWatch, on a weekly basis, we'll send you an email alert to say, hey, these are the companies that you looked up last week. Would you like to monitor them? Just to be really sure that you're not missing anything important. You're not monitoring any companies or customers that you're dealing with. So we're always, you know, we're always trying to make sure that there's no gaps that are obviously overlooked, and potentially risky customers don't fall through those gaps and ultimately affect you, and you end up with a bad debt or a sizable bad debt. It's certainly not what you want in boom times, and it's definitely what you don't want when we're going through you know, the challenges that we face today with COVID very much live and active in the community. So I'm just going to jump in and have a look to see if any questions have come through, which is good. Question here, where do you source the credit check data from? All of this data is either proprietary data that we're collecting from our customers, or we're collecting it from ASIC, the Australian Business Register, the ATO, that sort of thing. So it's all CreditorWatch credit reports that we're utilizing. We've been around for over 10 years now. So what I might do is I can take you through a credit report now. Let's look at one of the ones that are on our high risk list. So all of this data that we're pulling in, we're sourcing ourselves. So of course, defaults, you click on that. All of this information is coming from our customers. Our customers can register defaults against their customers. ASIC publish notices, anything around administration winding up. Mercantile inquiries relates to debt collectors who might be chasing that debtor. We then also go into, you know, the director information. So we're integrated with dozens of public, private, and government data sources to pull all of this information together. We collate it, and then we generate our own credit risk scores, alerts, and of course other products as well. So we can see the directors, who they are, how long they've been directors for. We can even see that, you know, they're directors of other companies, for example, and see what sort of state those other companies are in. We have the addresses of the company's shareholding information as well. And of course, the ability, in this case, I'm already monitoring them. So I will receive email alerts on a daily basis if anything changes. So if we jump back onto the CreditorWatch dashboard, we can see alerts that may be coming through on a daily basis for important changes to companies I'm monitoring. We can also have a look at the high risk list. So these are all the companies that I'm monitoring within CreditorWatch that have some form of adverse on them. So plenty of information there, and all of our information unique, the majority of which is unique to CreditorWatch, bar the stuff coming from, of course, ASIC, the Australian Business Register. All right, what about the cases where the ABN has a name different to what is the trading name of the proprietary company? Is that a good practice to deal with such entities? What are the checks that need to be taken? That's a good question, and to be honest, let me just see. Greensill might be a good one. So Greensill Capital Proprietary Limited is the is the official name. If we scroll down to the bottom, however, this is where you'll see other business names. In this case, they don't have one, so it's not a great example that I've used, but you could still search via the trading name or the name associated with the particular ABN or ACN. So not a huge issue there, depending which way you go. So don't worry about that too much. Question here around, to best manage cash flow, we negotiated alternative payment dates with suppliers. However, this looks like late payments. Given the current circumstances, how can one ensure credit rating is maintained and adjusted payment terms? I think it's very important. So when we talk about payment rating and payment terms, it doesn't matter if you're on 30-day, 60-day, 90-day terms or 7-day terms. We're only looking at the overdue. Okay, so there's a couple of things to consider there. Being consistent is really important, and I think what we've noticed is the majority of smaller businesses are paying slower. So we put in there an average generally for the industry that you're part of. So if you are worried about your payment terms blowing out and showing up as negative, the fact is most companies are showing that way, and it's important that creditors understand, if you or your customers are paying slowly. In time, we anticipate that those payment days are certainly going to start to come down as companies get in a better position, revenue starts to increase, and we get back into a normal sort of trading rhythm. Can you vet new customer credit applications without having to add them as a contact in Xero? Yes, you definitely can. And this is, if you're a CreditorWatch customer and you don't use the accounting integration, yes, you certainly can. You can look up any company, business in Australia. You can search by their business name, ABN or ACN. Okay, so you can type anything in here, and it's obviously going to turn up. So if we wanted to look at Woolworths, we could do that. If we wanted to look at XYZ, I'm pretty sure there's an XYZ. There we go. You can check anything in there. So you certainly don't have to add them to Xero or MYOB first. Question here, we only deal with, we have many personal customers, not companies. How would they be treated? CreditorWatch only looks at commercial entities, so any company or business with an ABN or an ACN. That could be, however, sole traders that are trading as an individual sole trader. They will likely have an ABN, so you could still look them up, for example, but we don't do consumer reporting. If they don't have an ABN, unfortunately, yeah, not something we could do. Do you pay anything for the integration? Good question. A couple of those have come through all at the same time. My apologies. No, there is no cost for integrating. We don't charge anything. It's free. So, we find that by integrating, you're getting even more out of CreditorWatch. Of course, it's a great product without the integration. However, providing that as an additional value add certainly enhances the experience for anyone that does. So just to be clear, yes, there is no cost for integration. When assigning a missing ABN in CreditorWatch portal, does this automatically update the customer card in Xero? I'd have to have a look at that and come back. I think potentially it used to, but I think Xero may have changed the way we could actually push information back into Xero. I think we're only a pull from there. I would have to check that for you and get back to you, or the best way you could do it is assign one of those ABNs and see if it does update your Xero account for you. But let me see if I can get a bit more information on that for you. Are customers the only contacts integrated as reviewing suppliers in the same manner is worthwhile too? I believe, yes, we are only doing it on contacts, on customers. At this stage, that's a very good question, and in the last sort of couple of years, we've started to talk about and stress the importance of credit checking and monitoring your suppliers as well. In that case, you would just use CreditorWatch to look at the suppliers credit reports, but there wouldn't be any integration with Xero, unfortunately. How do you get the payment default data? So CreditorWatch has over 50,000 customers across Australia. So when they want to register a default against one of their customers that owes them money, that hasn't paid them, they're able to do that within CreditorWatch. And that obviously stays within the CreditorWatch reporting platform and bureau and is totally unique to CreditorWatch. So all of that information is coming through from us. Is CreditorWatch operating internationally? No, we're just operating in Australia at this stage. There are certainly always plans to expand, and CreditorWatch is growing really nicely. But we see, just a huge opportunity in Australia still, and that's where we're focusing our time and efforts. But we do certainly have, big plans, and would love to expand internationally in time. All right, let me have a look. What happens if your invoices default to an overdue date, or as a COD customer, will that influence the 30-day warning? So as I sort of spoke about before, doesn't matter when the due date is. We start to look at overdue as past that. So regardless of whether it's 7, 14, 30-day terms, we're looking at essentially the clock starts ticking on day one of that being overdue. Sorry, everyone, there's plenty of questions here. I'm just trying to get through them and work out the best ones to sort of answer. Any that I don't get to, I will certainly come back to you in time as well. Question here, we don't use Xero or MYOB. Do you have the ability to provide an API connection into, for example, if you're a larger organization, an ERP or CRM system? Yes, we do. We're able to do that. So you actually could pull reports and alerts and data directly into your, for example, Salesforce or ERP system, depending on what you're using. Yes, that's certainly possible. What are the ongoing fees? No fees, as I said. Is there a limit on the search customers? Yes, of course. All of your CreditorWatch package or plan that you sign up to, or that you're obviously sold to, depending on whether you sign up online or you speak to a BDM, will have a limit as to the number of searches that you can provide. Look, I think that's probably most of them now. There's a couple of others that look very similar to what I've answered. So if I've missed anyone, I apologize. I will get back to you, I promise. It's probably a good one to sort of end on, is that if you feel like you'd like to be contacted by a CreditorWatch team member because I either haven't answered your question, haven't answered it correctly, or you're keen for more information on the integration process, the benefits, or you just want to talk about CreditorWatch itself, please don't be shy. Hit yes, and we will get in contact. Don't be shy to hit no as well if you don't want to be contacted. That is fine. There's no hard feelings there, of course. So I'll just leave that open for a little bit. Again, apologies if I didn't get to your question that you asked. We will go through it. We always go through it at the end to make sure we've ticked them off. And if we haven't, someone will be in contact, either myself or one of our customer success managers, to make sure that question is answered and you're ultimately happy with the answer that comes through. So I just wanted to thank everyone for joining today. I hope everyone is staying safe and, importantly, looking after their mental health as much as their physical health. While the numbers are high, hopefully we can start to see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, particularly for those in New South Wales and then, of course, Victoria. Keep an eye out for future webinars. We will be doing these, of course, as you know, on a regular basis. For more information, jump onto creditorwatch.com.au. If you're not a CreditorWatch customer, there's a huge amount of information on there. There's live chat that you can engage with, or you can just call up or email. We're always keen to talk. We're always keen to hear how we can better improve the system. So if you are using the integration with your accounting platform already, please do tell us what we can do, because we've got some plans to make some fairly sizable improvements, and also start to investigate exactly which other packages, accounting packages, we should be integrating with. So I will leave it there. Thank you everyone for your time today. Great to have you aboard. I appreciate you taking the time out and listening to me, and we will see you again very soon at the next webinar, I hope. All right, everyone, see you later.